Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the closing bell on the Stock Movers Report. The companies making moves at the close of U.S. trading with Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, Romaine Bostick, and Scarlet Fu.
Let's get to some of the individual gainers, if I may, and, kind of holding my breath to see if they held on to their gains. No surprise, I should say, to see defense names, which we have seen trade higher throughout the day. This is one of the few groups with some outperformance, and that included Lockheed Martin. We've seen this one up more than 4%, finishing the day with about a 3.7% on those escalating tensions between Iran and Israel. Let's also go to energy names, which have definitely, obviously, been on the move, really riding the ride up in oil prices. We see Diamondback Energy, ticker is FANG. That name is up about 3.7% in today's session. Keep in mind that there is this debate in the analyst community in terms of what will happen with oil prices and where the ultimate landing point is for crude oil, because there's no impact yet on oil supplies, but that is something we're watching very, very closely. And we know that the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, is doing the same as well. We just heard from him a tweet on social just moments ago. Oracle, got to mention this one. This has been on a tear, guys. 7.7% to the upside today. Second day of big gains. It gained more than 13% yesterday. We had earnings late Wednesday. Company projected a 70% gain in cloud infrastructure sales this fiscal year, so it gave a bullish outlook for what is a very closely watched business at the company. Stock is up almost 30% year to date and trading at another record high. And it's up more than 70% since April 21, excuse me. And I got to just mention one more. I'm amazed that I've got these strong gainers. Also, we're looking at RH, formerly Restoration Hardware. This one, some outperformance in today's session, up as much as 25%, finishing the day with a gain of about 7%. It kept its outlook for the full year unchanged. And so there have been some concerns about the impact of U.S. tariffs in a weak housing market. But this company definitely surprising investors to the upside. Tim.
All right. Well, to the downside, no shortage of companies to choose from. I want to start with shares of Visa, fell 5% today. This after the Wall Street Journal reported that large merchants, including Walmart and Amazon, are exploring how to issue or use stablecoins to bypass the traditional fees of card-based systems. So, of course, if this were to happen and these large retailers were to no longer use these credit card companies as much for those transactions, then those transaction fees would go down and these companies would struggle. MasterCard, by the way, fell by 4.6% today. Also, Adobe, we're talking earnings here. The company shares fell 5.3% today. The company did give a sales outlook for the current quarter, kind of failed to calm investors who've been skeptical about Adobe's ability to compete with AI-focused startups. The company's CFO reported that the company's family of AI models, though, has been used to generate over 24 billion pieces of content. The company expects $250 million in annual recurring revenue from AI products. Once again, shares down 5.3% today. And finally, looking at airlines as a whole today, this is the S&P 500 passenger airlines index. It fell 3.7% today. Airline stocks declined around the world after Israel launched airstrikes across Iran. What it did was it forced several countries in the Middle East to close their airspace to commercial flights. Here in the U.S., Delta and United suspended flights to Tel Aviv following Israel's bombing of Iran and the closure of that airspace. United has not said when flights between Newark and Tel Aviv may resume. In the past, carriers have been forced to use these narrow flight corridors more often due to military conflicts around the world. What that does is it adds fuel costs, makes flights longer, it disrupts schedules, and leads to higher operating charges. That index falling by 3.7% today.
All right, let's take a look at what happened in the yield space. Yield's actually higher. Scarlett was talking about this just a second ago, pretty much across the curve, 4 basis points on the lower end, shorter end of the curve, and about 6 basis points on the longer end of the curve. Though we should point out on a weekly basis, yields are lower than where they were last Friday, about 8 basis points lower on the 2-year and 6 to 7 basis points on the 30-year. And of course, that is the setup for that 2-day Fed meeting that kicks off on Tuesday.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.